Alright, what's going on, guys? Jeff here, back again with another video. So today we're going to be talking about what happened with the FOMC meeting that just happened with Jerome Powell. So if you watch my video on what to expect for this FOMC meeting, you would kind of realize that exactly what I've said in the video happened exactly as I said. Okay, so let's just do a brief recap of what actually happened. Okay, Jerome Powell came up and he wasn't really hawkish, nor was he dovish. Okay, he just came out as a very, very confident leader. Okay, he showed us a realistic plans and realistic tools to help combat inflation. Okay, he did say that inflation probably peaked back in March, according to what I said as well. Okay, remember when I said back in March, the CPI, we get core inflation data at 0.3%. It means that you kind of exclude the energy prices and also food prices. Basically, the volatile prices are being excluded, which is why I said that 0.3% is most likely going to be the inflection point for us to really come back down for the inflationary fear. He also talked about strong job report, a strong labor market despite high inflation. Of course, he's always talking about a tight labor market and also your job report and also housing report and such. So really, really good. Okay, back in January, I think that because back in January, the Jerome Powell that we got was a Jerome Powell that basically came out to say that I think that inflation is not transitory. I think inflation is going to be here to stay. We kind of have a Jerome Powell that didn't have a lot of control over the entire economy. Okay, so we felt that Jerome Powell wasn't really confident in a lot of things that he did. Then afterwards, kind of feel like he lost a lot of control. Right now, he's talking about how tight monetary policy can definitely be handled. The current economy can definitely handle a tighter monetary policy. He's also talking about hoping to see more inflation data coming up, which is your CPI, your PCE, that's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. Hoping to see a downwards trend, which is aka disinflation, something that we talk about a lot on my channel as well. If we're starting to see a form of a disinflation happening, which means a soft landing is starting to look very, very possible, which also Jerome Powell basically talked a little bit about a soft or softish lending as well. He also talked about how household spending and business spending are not really going down at the moment, despite recessionary fears. Because if you're talking about recessionary fears, usually for the household spending and also business spending, that's where you basically see a huge dip in prices as well. Okay, then the biggest thing, okay, there's two biggest things that Jerome Powell talked about. The first one is that the confirmation that there's currently no wage price spiral. Okay, this is a huge thing for us. Okay, no wage price spiral. He assured that he will not allow a wage price spiral to happen, because if that were to be the case, a recession would definitely have to be forced out in order for them to really get it out of the way. Second thing that he actually said was super duper important, which was asked by CNBC panelists, which is do Jerome Powell basically see a higher rate hike in the future, aka 75 basis point hike or even 100 basis point hike, which he basically just replied 75 basis point rate hike is not actively looked at, which is huge. Okay, that basically just erupted the market. Okay, the market just be like, okay, we are ready to boom. Okay, that was super duper good because, like I said before, our fear for the market was actually 75 and 100 basis point hike. Okay, those are our very, very small percentage chances of actually happening. We're expecting mostly for a 50 basis point hike, which of course it happened. 25 basis point hike is very, very unlikely, simply because, like I said before, we are trying to hit 2% neutral by the end of the year. And right now, even after the biggest hike in the 2 decades, we're still at 0.9%. Okay, we're still at 90 basis point as it is. In order for us to actually hit 200 basis point, it's actually going to take a lot of time. So I do think that it actually makes sense for them to actually go for the 50 basis point rate hike. Okay, the next up, they actually talk about 50 basis point rate hike if it will be on the table. Okay, and Jerome Powell basically just came up clean and said that 50 basis point rate hike is definitely on the table for the next couple of meetings. Okay, next couple of meetings simply means that Right now, we are getting a 50 basis point hike. If we expect the next meeting, which is going to be June, to be a 50 basis point hike, and then one after that, which I'm not sure if it's July or August, to be another 50 basis point rate hike, it simply means that we are essentially going to be hitting 1.9% while we still have another 3 more meetings to go. Okay, so that's pretty good. Or at the same time, also a little bit worrisome for a lot of people, because some people think that, if we were to hit 1.9% by, let's say, August, okay, then chances are we are probably going to be either not having any more rate hikes, or we're just going to be having an additional 25 basis point rate hike in the last meeting of the year. Okay, that's also a possibility. So it's hard for you to really weigh out the good and the bad. Okay, afterwards, then basically Jerome Powell also touched a little bit about the demand to supply ratio on the labor market. Speaking, one of the panelists basically asked that, what is Jerome Powell's criteria, and what is his target for the demand to supply ratio? And Jerome Powell actually took his time to go around it, but basically he was actually aiming for a 1 right now, because the demand to supply ratio for the labor market is about 1.9. And of course, another panelist actually spoke up about how Hispanic and Black workers are also not really as high up in the employment chain as compared to the white workers, which Jerome Powell basically also answered via the jobs report that is actually starting to get a little bit better as well. So I do think that, this entire Q&A showed us a very, very confident Jerome Powell, and which is why the market is really just soaring. Okay, everyone is very happy to see Jerome Powell being this confident. Jerome Powell had good answers for all the sharp questions that was coming from the panelists. So really, really good overall. Okay, so before I end this thing, I'm just going to show you guys the whole Federal Reserve policy statement, just so that you guys can kind of know what was actually happening. This actually came out at 2 a.m., which is why, like I said before, when this come out, chances are prices are going to go down, which it did. And then afterwards, when Jerome Powell started talking, everything went up again. Okay, so over here, basically, I already highlighted the main points that I want to talk about, which is job gains has been robust in recent months, like I said before. Unemployment rate has declined substantially as well. So pretty good. If we're talking about employment rate and job market, the labor market, everything is working pretty well. Okay, inflation remains elevated, as we still expected to a certain extent, reflecting supply and demand imbalances related to the pandemic, higher energy prices, and broader price pressures. Okay, afterwards, they actually touched upon the COVID-related lockdowns in China are likely to excavate supply chain disruptions, which is something that I also talk about a lot, because I do think that that would actually be a valid concern for what we are going to be going through in the market as well. Afterwards, they are actually talking about the maximum employment and inflation at the rate of 2% over the longer run, which is why we are expecting to actually bring it down to see if we can actually hit 2% for a neutral rate, and then see how can we accommodate with the economy as well. Okay, the committee decided to begin reducing its holding of treasury securities and agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities on June 1st. So this line basically, okay, this line over here, kind of just scare the market a little bit, because this is where we are talking about the balance sheet reduction. Okay, but like I said before, kind of expected during a tighter monetary policy. Okay, prepared to adjust the stance of monetary policy as appropriate if risks emerge that would impact the attainment of the committee's goal. So like I said before, so if anything were to happen, if another pandemic were to hit, or if max employment is so far away from our goal, or if inflation for the next month suddenly just strike up to 2% or something ridiculous, or if the whole Russia-Ukraine situation got worse and more pricing matters actually got worse, supply chain issues might actually worsen and such. So those are the risks that might actually emerge, but we are not very, very sure. Okay, so next up, we are actually going to be talking about this is actually very, very important for me. Okay, so the Board of Governors on the Federal Reserve System voted unanimously to raise the interest rate. Okay, so what it basically means on the unanimously part, it means that even James Bullard, one of the most hawkish member in the whole Federal Reserve, basically think that, yes, I think that 50 basis point hike makes sense. This part alone was crazy, because I do think that it's very important for the entire Federal Reserve to kind of have the same consensus. And I do like it to see that, you know, they are unanimously raised the interest rate up to 0.9%, aka a 50 basis point hike. And I do think that because of this, we can kind of just imagine how the dot plot would actually look like. And this would actually be a very well-aligned dot plot if that were to be the case. So I'm very, very happy about this. And then afterwards, basically the numbers of the game, the numbers game, okay? We're talking about the federal funds rate targeting in a range of 0.75% to 1%. Okay, we're talking about the minimum beat rate of 1% with an aggregate operation limit of $500 billion, which can temporarily be increased by the direction of the chair. We're talking about reverse repo, okay, offering at the rate of 0.8% with a per counterparty limit of $160 billion per day. And also for the principal payments will not be exceeding a monthly cap of $30 billion. And afterwards, so we're talking about the mortgage-backed securities, the MBS, received in the calendar month of June that exceeds a monthly cap of $17.5 billion. So yeah, basically those are the things that are actually being talked about. I'll actually link the entire Q&A for Jerome Powell down in the description box below. If you are interested, you should really just, you know, listen to it, kind of go through it yourself. I do think that I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot from Jerome Powell. I learned a lot from the panelists. I think that this is easily one of the best FOMC meeting and FOMC Q&A that I've ever attended for the last 6-7 months or so. I'm very, very happy about this. But yeah, that's all for this recap. Anyway, right now it's about like 4 a.m. So I'm gonna quickly do an upload for this and then I'll go to sleep. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow.